Netflix, the OG streaming service and still the biggest. I'm going to cover their financials, their business model, do a little SWOT analysis, and just see where they could potentially go from here. Starting off in 2016, the revenues were small, $8.8 billion, netting just under $200 million off of that. And then in 2017, we see growth and more growth and more growth. That brings us until today. In their most recent fiscal year, they made $28 billion in revenues. The revenues are growing at around 18% a year, but they've been cooling off recently. Looking at their net income, we can see steady growth from 187 million in 2016 to 2.7 billion in 2020. Then in 2021, it nearly doubles and stays at around that level until today when they made $5.4 billion in profit. On the off chance you guys don't know what Netflix business model is, you pay them money a month. Well, they do have ads now, and they give you content. That content is either made by Netflix or they license it from another studio, a company, or whatever. Fun fact, did you know that Netflix originals are over half the content? Which makes sense because the competition to actually get content to put on the platform is very fierce. And I'm going to get into that later on. Arguably, the most important number to Netflix is the sub count. Take a look. While in 2021, there was a period where there were some dips, generally, it is going up. Their annual report, which covers all their performance for 2023, showed that there is a lot of growth internationally. EMCA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, there were around 12 million people who joined. There are around 4 million people in Latin America and 7 million in the Asia Pacific. Compare that with only 5 million additions in the US and Canada. Internationally is where the money is at, although the prices are not exactly the same worldwide. For example, in Egypt, it costs 70 Egyptian pounds. Anyone want to guess what that is in US dollars? 3, 2, 1. 1.5 US dollars. Netflix has a lot of price hikes. Some of them were just unilaterally increased, others only increased the prices of the upper tiers, and some of them had a little grace period for people who were already customers, but new customers would have to pay the new price. So I'll mark them all with a star. This is Netflix, stock symbol NFLX, and it's traded on the NASDAQ. It is generally trending upwards, but this is when competing streaming services started to be introduced. They took pretty much all their content off of Netflix to make their own thing. Disney Plus launched right around here. The pandemic started around here. HBO Max, now just Max, started right here. And Paramount Plus launched in March of 2021. All this caused the stock to tumble downwards because investors were just not convinced that the ad tier would be much help, and also because subs were kind of declining around this time. This goes to show you that investors will fully at the moment of danger. Although, to be fair, I am looking at it in hindsight, so I can't really criticize much. In 2022, they added their ad tier for $7 a month. They moved the basic tier for new signups, and over the course of 8 or so years, they made a 597% return. I won't compare the companies behind all the competition, because a lot of these companies don't just have the streaming service, so I'm just going to compare the streaming service individually. Ranking wise, it goes Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and Paramount Plus. I did rank them by subs, but I'm also going to mention the price you have to pay to actually access them, and also the most important thing, content. Paramount Plus has 71.2 million subs. They cost either $6 or $12 a month, and since I don't own any of these streaming services, I'm more of a myself. But when I took a look at all the content on here, I was pleasantly surprised. Max, formerly HBO Max, does not report their individual numbers. They combine it with Discovery Plus and a few other sub-services. The total count is 99.6 million. With their plans of 10, 17, or 21 a month, their content is great. I mean, Last of Us, Game of Thrones, and so much more. They even have sports for an extra $10 a month. Disney Plus is at 153.6 million subscribers. Them and Hulu, which is a package deal, is $10 a month with ads. If you add ESPN, it'll be $15, and no ads at all is $20 a month. Now, they probably have some of the best content. I mean, Pixar movies, Marvel, Star Wars. It's hard to beat Disney's long history and just massive blockbuster collection. Amazon Prime Video does not report the numbers individually, which why? It is included with Amazon Prime, so I'm gonna estimate it's around 230 million because I did a couple Googles, so that's the number that came up. Their content library is far weaker than the rest, but they do allow you to rent or buy through them. And I think the reason why their sub count is so high is because it comes with Amazon Prime. I don't think it would be up here if it was just standalone. Netflix definitely has the most subscribers with 269 million subscribers. Their tiers are 7 with ads, 15, and 23. A lot of the biggest series are not really on the service, but they've built up their original content to compensate. Their content is broader, very popular, and I'm going to get into that later on. Let's move away from the streaming competition and move on to the other competition. In Netflix's own words, people love movies and TV shows, but they don't love the linear TV experience. Linear TV, for those of you who don't know, is just either cable TV or satellite TV. The ability to stream on demand is just better than cable TV. I mean, today especially, if you had the choice, would you get cable TV? If your answer is yes, ask the other people around you, because the numbers are going down. Even more traditional programs are moving to YouTube, Netflix, and other streamers. The only thing that's holding people to cable TV is because you're either grandfathered in because you already have it before, and sports. And sports is already moving to streaming sites. If you guys are enjoying this, please like the video, it does help a lot. Let's move on to SWOT, starting with strengths. If I were to ask you to think of a streamer right now, what's the first one that comes to your mind? It's probably Netflix. Their brand is so powerful. When you think of a streamer, Netflix is probably the first one that pops up in your mind. They have a massive subscriber base. Also, their content is built for streaming at home, just on a couch while you're with someone. Other companies like Paramount Plus just kind of plop their movies onto a streaming site. It is good, but it's not built for streaming. Of Netflix's top 10 content, in English at least, their content is all Netflix originals. So by no means is it just filler. Moving on to weaknesses, competition for shows is getting very competitive. The next weakness, piracy. Weakness number 4, binge culture. If you run through a series in 3 or even 4 days, how long do you really need to stay subscribed to Netflix for? If you're sleeping, wake up. Pay attention to this part. Netflix is in quite a lot of debt. In 2014, they had 886 million. Now they're at $13 billion. It is trending downwards from their height in 2020 of 15.8 billion, and they have decided to do share buybacks instead of pay down the debt, which is showing that they aren't exactly concerned about the debt levels, but pay attention to that number. Opportunities-wise, sports are coming to streaming services. They signed a 10-year agreement with the WWE, and as sports leave, this also reduces the need for linear television, which in effect helps streamers as a whole. Okay, this next part is going to sound kind of dark. As the older people move on, the younger people who replace them are not really going to want cable television. So they're gonna still want entertainment, so they're probably going to pick streamers. Threats-wise, if Netflix just has a bad run of content or their licensed content just gets removed from the platform, people can easily either switch or just cancel. It is not hard to switch away from Netflix. All it takes is a few clicks. Boop, boop, and they can do it at any time for whatever reason they choose. This is more of a threat to their title of number 1, but if other streamers continue to grow at this rate, they could take that title away pretty quick. Alright people, let's speculate, bet, hypothesize where Netflix might go from here, because the underlying company will affect the stock price. They can make great content, get more subs, and make a lot of money. They can also stay around the same and other streamers just surpass them because either maybe they got the NBA to sign with them or for whatever other reason. They could lose subs as content keeps on getting pulled from their platform, but they'd also get in more debt if content is just bad. And there are an infinite number of these variations, and I can't see the future. I know you can either. Maybe you can. If you can, I take it back, but it's worth a thought. Anyway guys, let me know how you think Netflix is going to do in the future. If you guys want investment advice, I'll direct you to the SEC because that's probably the most qualified organization to give it. I am not qualified, so don't look at me for that. And like, sub, and peace people.